Wolves are playing Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow at 7:45 in the Carabao Cup. In this video we're going to speak about 5 things that I expect to see from the game and also potentially a predicted lineup or a lineup that I'd like to see as well. If you do enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are trying to reach 10k before the end of the season. We're about 6,300 away. Very, very unlikely. I completely sort of admit that, but I'd very much appreciate it if you could, and let's get straight into it. Now, the first point I want to speak about is Santiago Bueno. Now, obviously hasn't played so far this season, but you'd expect to see him in the Carabao Cup, albeit, yes, he is far too good for it. And maybe Wolves won't risk him with regards to, retaining his value in case he does get injured. But you'd expect, for me, to see Santiago Bueno playing. If Vladislav Krejci's fit, you'd probably hope to see him play as well. And generally, I think Wolves can put out a relatively strong lineup in this game. There are a few players that I want to see, and we will get into the lineup that I would like to see next. But ultimately, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if these types of players do stay and do play as well. Sasa Kalajdzic's another one that you'd imagine you might see minutes from as well. Obviously not had a pre-season really where he's played consistently for Wolves, but you'd imagine that you'll be seeing some minutes from him given the fact that he looks like he might leave, potentially to Derby County. Whether Wolves will risk that with regards to sort of his injury record as well, who knows? But again, for me, I think it's a really interesting one to see if he does leave, and I think it'd be really interesting to see who does start this game and how much of a tell it is on the players that are going to depart the club this summer still, with just over a week left really in the window. I think it's going to be really interesting, but let me know if you'd like to see Santiago Bueno play, and let's have a look at an opposing player that I think Wolves can expect to come up against and actually probably try and cause a bit of a threat sort of to the defence really. And that player is Kieran Morrison. Now, he did come on the other day for 21 minutes, and you might be thinking, why is this a threat? Well, Kieran Morrison is a very, very good player in the Premier League too for the last few years really for Liverpool's academy, a player that is rated really, really highly by the club. And ultimately it's a very strange one that he did go on loan to League One. Personally, I thought he would have ended up in the Championship somewhere at a low-end Championship club, but you'd imagine that Sheffield Wednesday have hopes of going up. Obviously it hasn't started incredibly well so far this season, 1 win and a loss in there. But for me, I'd like to see sort of how he plays. I think it's going to be interesting because he's a young player that, potentially has the potential to be a star, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how Wolves can deal with him. I expect him to play given the fact that he didn't play much in the week, and I expect him to start in the coming weeks for Sheffield Wednesday, so he's definitely a talent that's worth keeping your eye on really if you are Wolves, and if you are sort of Cesar Peixoto preparing for the game. He's definitely one that I'd be looking to keep an eye on because I think he is very dynamic. He's someone that can comfortably cut inside onto that left foot, can make things happen. He's also not afraid to go on the right side and go sort of putting the ball back into the box, and generally he's quite a big threat, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does against a side that's really, in the most part, a lot of Premier League quality players, to be honest. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the lineup is. Obviously, you'd imagine he'd be up against David Muller-Wolf, and you'd back him to do a job on Kieran Morrison, to be honest. But I think he's one for me, and sort of one of maybe 2 or 3 players that I think could actually have an impact for the opposing side in tomorrow's game. Another point, and someone that I really want to discuss, is Jordan James. I am hoping we see at least 70 minutes from Jordan James tomorrow. Ideally, injury-free as well. Someone that I really, really rate, and you lot will know that. I've said on this channel numerous times, I think he's absolutely outstanding. He looked really decent when he did come on as well. He almost glides across the pitch, really. And obviously, he does come on against Preston, which, yeah, it's not a great team, but ultimately the performance on the weekend, I've said in numerous times in numerous videos, was brilliant, and I'd hope to see him get at least 65, 70 minutes really in the tank against Sheffield Wednesday, get his fitness up, run the game as well, maybe even try and get on the score sheet as well. It'll be interesting to see where he plays as well, because for me, I think he will play as that left-sided number 8, where Marshall Monetsi has tended to play, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. And for me, I hope we see a lot of minutes from him, because I'm really, really excited to just see him in old gold, see him on the pitch, and ultimately see what he can do and offer Wolves for the remainder of the season in the Championship, in the hopes of a Premier League position next season. So for me, Jordan James is an absolute non-negotiable to start for Wolves tomorrow. Now, I think this is the team that I'd go for. Now, it's not necessarily every player that I want to see playing in certain positions, but ultimately, Wolves need to rotate, and players need fitness, players need minutes, and ultimately, they need some quality, really. Now, obviously, Sam Johnson looks like he might be back from his injury, but I'd still go Jose Sarr in goal. I don't think that's too much of a risk. Right back, I'd go Pedro Lima. I think you can't risk Jackson Tachua with Kieran Trippier's injury, and I think it makes sense. And if he can't perform against Sheffield Wednesday, when's he ever going to perform? Then in the centre-half positions, I'd go for Santiago Bueno and Totti Gomez. Now, I know Totti's not a popular pick, and I understand that, but look at the severe lack of left-sided centre-halves that Wolves have got. It remains to be seen if Krejci's fit. I haven't gone him. If he is fit, I want to make it abundantly clear, he starts for me in this game, because Wolves do need to rest Totti after obviously playing 2 full 90s. I think he absolutely deserves a rest and needs one. And obviously David Muller-Wolf, I mean, he has to play. Bueno just coming back from an injury as well. I don't think he'll play a full 90. Obviously didn't play a full 90 again. And you'd want to see David Muller-Wolf in there, I think. And if he can't perform against Sheffield Wednesday, when is he going to? Then I'd obviously go for Traoré in midfield. Now, obviously, it looks like he might be moved on, but I thought he looked impressive when he come on the other day. And generally, I don't think it's worth risking the likes of Andre in this side, to be quite honest, especially against a very physical team in Sheffield Wednesday, someone that's obviously going to be up against it. And I do think they will still try to an extent. I've been seeing a few podcasts and all that sort of stuff from the Sheffield lads, and they've said, look, we may as well try and give it a little go. And ultimately, I think they're right. So, yeah, I've gone for Boubacar Traoré in there with Tommy Doyle. Now, you want someone who can run the game in terms of covering distance, and we'll get onto that in a minute. I think you want someone and you need someone like that around Tommy Doyle, but ultimately Traoré and the player in front of them will do a lot of that covering ground. They really will, and for me I'd go for him alongside Traoré. Again, got to be more than quality and more than capable of playing in a game like this, especially a game that Wolves are going to have a lot of the ball, you'd imagine. Then I'd go for Jordan James. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have him as a 10, I'd probably have him as sort of a further advanced 8, maybe with Traoré and Doyle somewhere like that, and slightly change the system a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily have him as a 10 because, as many Leicester fans will tell you, his best position isn't a 10, but I would have him in the side. He has to start for me to get him minutes, to get him fitness as well. Off the left, I've given a rest to Matheus Mane. I want to see a Dozy. Now, that might be sort of unpopular, but I want to see a Dozy get minutes. He impressed me in pre-season. I want to see him in one of those forward areas, whether he's off the left or he's off the right. I'd like to see him get minutes. You could also have the argument for Tawanda Chirewa as well, but for me, I'd like to see Tom Adozie. Then off the right, I've gone for Rodrigo Gomez. Now, that might seem mad given the fact that he's played a lot of football so far this season, but I think he needs to play himself into a bit of goal-scoring form, and that's kind of what I've gone for here. I want to see that happen. I want to see him get some goals, because there's been a lot of doubts, as I've said in my most recent video, about Rodrigo Gomez's goal-scoring capabilities, and it's sort of similar to Mane, really. But I'd like to see him get at least sort of 55, 60 minutes, really, against Sheffield Wednesday, really sort of test that defence. And up front, I've gone for Armstrong, purely on the basis that I'm not sure whether Sasa Kalajic will stay. I'm not sure whether Sasa Kalajic will play as well, given the fact that he's not really played a part at all so far this season. But for me, I'd probably go Adam Armstrong. You could even argue the likes of Wang Hee-chan could be in that front three, a player that is clearly too good for Sheffield Wednesday. But ultimately, whether they want to try and retain his value if they're looking to sell him, which you'd imagine they are, and they certainly look to be. Do you want to risk him in getting an injury? I'm not too sure. But again, as I say, I'm very open to any sort of suggestions in the comments of the players that you would take, because for me, I'd probably take Sasa Kalajic, I'd take the likes of Wang Hee-chan and hope they can impact the game. I'd be giving a few players minutes off. I might be giving, Jimenez a few minutes here and there, but ultimately, that's a lineup or a similar lineup that I'd like to see. As I say, Krejci would potentially be in there if he's fit, and there'd probably be another forward option with regards to Armstrong, and I wouldn't be opposed to Rodrigo Gomez having a full rest either. But I don't want to rotate the whole 11. I don't really think that's sort of ideal in any game, and it sort of sets you up for a banana skin, really. So that's the type of lineup I've gone for. Let me know yours in the comments as well. So I hope you've all enjoyed this video. It's just a quick preview. We couldn't manage to speak to any of the Sheffield Wednesday lads ahead of kickoff. Potentially might after the game, but we didn't manage to ahead of the game. So I'm sorry for that in terms of the build up to the game. But I hope you did enjoy this video nonetheless. It's a bit of a sort of mismatch one, telling you my 11. Let me know yours in the comments as well. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. I'd very much appreciate that. It does mean the world. And as I say, 10k by the end of the season. Stupidly unlikely. And I very much doubt we'll have a video that does ridiculous views this season that pushes those numbers up. But I very much appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.